I am the world's biggest Reddit hater. I hate the platform, I hate the community, and I especially hate the moderators. Early on in my OFM career, I tried to figure out Reddit on my own, and then I got frustrated and I spent thousands of dollars on so-called expert contractors. And to this day, all I have to show for it is a few dozen banned accounts and absolutely zero return on investment. But there are agencies out there that are still pulling down thousands of OnlyFans subscribers a day with Reddit. And as luck would have it, I managed to find a Reddit for OFM OG who has been crushing on Reddit for years and established many of the best practices and methods that agencies still use today. I'm on the road, and Sammi is as shy as he is generous with his knowledge, so this episode is going to be audio only. But it is packed start to finish with knowledge, from the history of OnlyFans promotion on Reddit to all of the tips and tricks that you need to succeed on Reddit today. So whether you're already using Reddit as part of your promotional stack, or you want to start but you don't know where to begin, this one is for you. Oh, really quickly, before we get into it, I just launched a free Telegram group for OnlyFans management agencies and independent creators, and it's a great place to ask questions, swap strategies, and share what's working for promotion and marketing on OnlyFans. I am in there every day, posting tips, running polls for future videos, and personally answering OFM questions. So if you want to improve at using social media to grow your following and your revenue, hit the link in the description and join the group. Again, it's completely free. All right. Today we've got Sammi here. Sammi is a Reddit specialist. So today we're going to be talking all things Reddit. Welcome to the show. Very nice to have you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Francis.
Yes, absolutely. So why don't you quickly introduce yourself, kind of tell us your OFM origin story. How did you get introduced to this business?
So again, thanks for having me. Yeah, I got introduced to OFM a few years ago. I was working in a complete different side of business. It was something that you've discussed in previous videos as well. A lot of people come from the sales industry. I come from the sales industry as well. Like years ago, I was doing door-to-door sales. After the door-to-door sales, at some point, a friend of mine came up to me, we should run a call center. So we started running a call center, expanded multiple call centers at some point, and we were selling gas and electricity contracts. At some point, the war in Russia, Ukraine started, made it impossible for us to continue because the prices of gas and electricity were rising and we were not getting people better deals. So there wasn't really anything to sell the people. So that ended at that point, and I was working some security business as well. I opened some private security where we were protecting buildings, ships of wealthy people, whatever. And I had a friend from the previous industry, from the call center industry, and he told me, I started OFM. I asked him, what are you talking about? What is OFM? Yeah, you know OnlyFans, right? Yeah, I know OnlyFans. He was talking like, I made 30K revenue in the first month. Like, holy shit. I was telling him, what do you mean? For 30K in the first month, that's actual numbers, right? Like,
right.
We were doing really, really well. Don't get me wrong. The call center and everything was really well, but 30K in the first month, no matter what business you're in, 30K in the first month.
Right, you're looking at something real.
Yeah, pretty good. No, that's something that's definitely scalable from there. So it opened my eyes, but I wasn't anything familiar with OnlyFans whatsoever in terms of how it actually worked. Like my perception of OnlyFans, especially because it was a couple of years ago, I'm from Europe. It was just something that girls would sell their pussy on, I guess, the way that I looked at it, right? It was years ago. So I told him, tell me a bit more. How does it work? Isn't it illegal or whatever? No, he just started telling me a little bit like, you're basically a marketing agency. He said, you're helping this girl market herself, the girl or the model in this case. We were talking about girls. He was just working with one girl, basically. And he said, like, yeah, there's a girl and the girl wants to, OnlyFans. Like she made the decision to do OnlyFans. You're not convincing her. But the thing is, the girl has to make sure every fan that she talks to is happy. Marketing has to be done, she has to be posted on Instagram, on Snapchat, Reddit, TikTok at the time, whatever. So I was thinking, it makes sense, that there's a team behind it. If we look at these big creators, of course there's a team behind it. I never thought of it that way, but there's a fucking production and everything, right? It's a lot of work. So I was like, okay, let me look into this. And then I started looking into it. And basically at the time, everything was relatively simple in terms of what it is right now, because it was something new, right? OnlyFans, it was at the time, OnlyFans management, it was pretty new. TikTok was a very big thing. It was the sauce, the real sauce at the time was just get a creator an iPhone 8 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Put the US SIM card for us Europeans, put the US SIM card in there, scroll a little bit, create an account, and just start posting TikToks from that point on. So Yeah, basically that's how I started. Got into it and started looking more and more into it. Onboarded the first creator, and it was a crazy story.
Yeah, how did you recruit your first creator?
I'll save you all the small details, but then I recruited my first creator. So where I live, there's this website where people go. It's completely legal. Sex work is legal where I'm from. So there's this website where sex workers can offer you their time as escorts, right? An escort website. So that's where it started. I just started scrolling and see if I found anything. So there was a girl, started sending messages to all the me being stupid, being naive, thinking, oh, I'm the first person to do this. No, I
Yeah.
wasn't the first person to do this. Absolutely fucking not. So I started messaging these girls just through my regular phone number, right? Not thinking anything of it. And I was getting, like, of course, there's no pimps. Like, they're not allowed
Right.
to have pimps, but there was pimps. And I
Right.
started getting messages of the pimps, I was completely drowned in messages and calls of pimps trying to fuck me over.
What are you fucking
whatever.
talking to my girls for?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was sending them messages all over the place. So I was thinking, oh, okay, fuck. Well, got to get a new phone number. So I got a new personal phone number, kept the old phone number, and I just continued to message all the girls on there, right? All of them, sending them messages. And at some point, one of the girls, she said, like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty curious. Well, let's talk about it. Let's meet up. And now I'm from the Netherlands. The Netherlands is really small. You could cross the country in, like, let's say 2 hours by car.
Wow,
So
really?
yeah, it's crazy. It's a very, very small country. So I was, okay, let's fucking do it. Hopped in the car, met up with her, and just started discussing things, me trying to be the professional, not completely being honest about my actual experience.
Sure, yeah.
I had to at this point. Like, I saw that all the girls, I had probably sent out like 500 messages already. And let's say from the girls that did reply themselves, so either I got ignored, a girl did reply, small chance, or a pimp replied. The girls that did reply themselves were like, no, I like you're the 50th one messaging me. You're the 50th person messaging me this request. So that's not going to work out. So I had the chance. I started talking to her, told her the story. I got her some iPhones, and she was really hardworking. She really wanted to do it. So she just started making TikToks, got her a few phones, got her a few US SIM cards, started working. And that was really good. So then at some point, TikTok basically started going downhill really, really fast as well. Like, Monday, everything was fine. And like, let's say Friday, everything like
Totally
just
gone to shit.
crashed. Yeah.
You almost certainly manage models with legitimate influencer potential. Creators who can attract millions of followers and reach the top 0.01% on OF. And now, Milky is officially reopening our consulting service to help your models reach that potential. Here's how it works. You fill out our consulting application. It's the first link in the description. It takes less than 2 minutes, and you'll get a follow-up email with all the information that you need to get started. Then, you get a focused 60-minute strategy call with yours truly that includes the following: top to bottom evaluation of a model's current social media presence, the best possible niche for that model, plus how to establish and differentiate that model within that niche, research for the model, including a spreadsheet of the top creators and highest performing content in that niche, a full go-to-market brand strategy with aesthetics, personality, and repeatable content formats, and finally, a creative operations audit where I give you Milky's best practices to scale creative output without burning out your model and your team. And you get to keep a recording of our call to easily share with your team, plus all the research I do for your model. So if you are serious about building $1 million models, book your consult right now through the first link in the description. And now, back to the video.
So at this same point, basically what happened, so that's the details I'll be saving you. The girl's baby daddy the girl got arrested. She was charged for growing weed in her house. Baby daddy thought I was in the wrong because I was in contact with her. A lot of fucking problems. Okay, I was thinking, TikTok going downhill, fuck this shit. I was still doing the security business. I'm gonna just take a quick break and see what else there is for me. I didn't quit the security business yet. And then I met up some guys in the group chats. At this point, the group chats were really a thing growing.
You're talking about OnlyFans manager group chats.
Sorry, OnlyFans group management group chats on Telegram. They were really starting to pop off.
Yeah.
A lot of group chats on Telegram. And, I got in touch with a few people. You just meet up with people, or you just start talking to people on the regular. And one of the guys said, like, yo, okay, I run Reddit. And that's, probably a next question because I'll be talking and talking. But the Reddit thing was really something that opened my eyes. So onboarded the first model, offloaded the first model. And then another guy told me about Reddit. I completely ditched TikTok. And yeah, that's the start of me being the Reddit expert, if I say it myself, I am right now.
Okay, excellent. So, okay, now let's fast forward to today. We'll get to Reddit in just a second. Are you purely doing OFM? OFM is your full-time job, obviously.
Yeah, OFM is my full-time job. So got into Reddit, started understanding the platform, and then I said, let's go. I understand this platform, and I'm pretty sure maybe me and a handful of people are actually this well understanding of the algorithm and of the systems of Reddit. So
So, how many models are you managing currently?
currently there's 10 active creators. There's 12 creators in total right now. 2 of the 12 we're not really working with anymore. We're kind of slowly offloading it.
Got it. Okay. And then is all of your promotion done through Reddit, or do you use other organic social channels?
Yeah, so we're doing Twitter as well. We've started doing Instagram not that long ago, doing some threads as well. But I would say that the main source of traffic right now is Reddit for sure. And that's just because I focused on Reddit for,
It's what you
for
know.
a very, very long time. I just got good at it at
Yeah.
that time. Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate for like really mastering one platform at a time. So for me personally, Reddit never yielded any results, which is part of the reason that I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I don't understand Reddit at all. Every time I've attempted to use it, whether it's myself, whether it's through a service, those people like offering Reddit posting services for a long time were quite popular, where you just dump everything in a drive file and say, okay, you post this, you take care of this for me. Nothing seemed to work. Accounts were getting banned left and right. So we never got any traction. It's something that I dumped thousands of dollars into and just never saw any results from. So pretend that I'm a total layman. How is Reddit different? Like fundamentally, how is Reddit OFM marketing different from marketing on other social platforms?
So I think that's where it comes in, that there's only like a handful of people, maybe an exaggeration, but there's not a lot of people that actually understand the platform Reddit. So if we're talking marketing in general, like promoting a creator on any platform, most platforms are, or pretty much every platform is the same. It's all about getting attention, getting people to see you. It's just that the algorithm of Reddit is really built on interest that you've selected yourself that you're interested in, whereas there's no algorithm that, for example, let's say Instagram has. If you like 5 reels of a Ferrari, you'll probably watch Ferraris for the rest of the day.
But you don't have direct control over that. You just have sort of like influence, let's say.
Well, and that's the thing. So on Instagram, you have influence, but on Reddit, you have control over that, direct control. Reddit is basically a big forum. And in this big forum, there's small sub-forums, the subreddits. Let's niche it down a little bit. There's, for example, ethnicity, so white girls. Then there's ebony girls, there's Asian girls. But then there's also Asian booty. Then there's also white booty. There's also Asian booty and feet. And there's just feet in general. So it niches down super, super deep. There's a subreddit, dragons fucking cars, and that's just pictures of dragons fucking cars, literally. Yeah, it's good. The platform's good, but it's supposedly one of the biggest platforms there is on social media in terms of users.
Sure, I believe that. Yeah,
and I think the main reason for that is because it's a forum, right? Like it's a big board. What do you call it? Like a big forum board, a place where people look for information as well, right? Like, oh, I don't know how to fix my iPhone. I don't know how to fix my car. Reddit's the place, and that's not the case for Instagram, for example.
sure. Yeah, if you search how to fix my car on Instagram, you're gonna get a bunch of videos of like, nothing of value is going to be found
Exactly. So that also basically already paints a picture, or at the time at least painted a picture for me, that we had to take a different approach for the platform. Most
there.
people
Yeah, how is it that you came to select Reddit as your like primary promotional tool of choice? Like, how did you sort of arrive at that realization?
Okay, so like I said, I started with TikTok, and TikTok was really easy, in terms of there has to be a girl, the girl has to be making videos, and that will get you really far already, that will get you a long way already. And then when TikTok started crashing down a bit, and I quit, I just didn't look back into TikTok, basically, when I got back. And there was a guy, and he was talking about Reddit, and the only thing he was doing at the time was basically just flooding the platform with posts. There was this posting scheduler, and you pay a couple of maybe $100. I'm not even sure. You'd pay $100, and it would just have you schedule the posts for the entire day, week, month, whatever, which made it very easy to post. So that's what I started doing basically, without doing any research, any research of what I was posting wherever. So like I said, there's subreddits, and let's just say that, we're talking about girls with big boobs. You know, if there's a subreddit called big boobs, you shouldn't be posting a girl with small boobs over there.
Sure.
But that's what I did. I started posting, the small boob girl. Sorry, the creator I onboarded when I got back into everything, different creator, not the same. I basically started posting her pretty much everywhere. And she got her account. So you'd have the Reddit account. She got the account banned in a lot of these subreddits. But at the time,
basically posting content that didn't belong in those subreddits.
Yeah, like every subreddit basically has their own moderators, and these moderators aren't working for Reddit. They don't work. They're not employed by Reddit. They're just people like you and me, but they're, the gooners. They
dedicated gooners.
Really dedicated gooners. The Reddit moderators, they're complete different kinds. Just to narrow that down a bit, let's say there's a subreddit with big boobs. There's probably a chain of subreddit, but then it would be big boobs, big booties, whatever, and it would all be one big chain of subreddits owned by the same group of moderators.
Okay, got it.
You can apply to be a moderator. They will refuse or they won't have you, whatever, but you could. Like, it's nothing special. It's not a special position.
So explain two things to me really quickly. I'm just going to stop you there. How are you identifying these subreddits? Like when you're looking for, let's say you onboard a new creator, I would imagine that given the level of specificity of most of these subreddits, you have something called dragons fucking cars. Like, I would imagine that there's subreddits for basically every sexual kink and fetish imaginable. How do you, as a manager, identify the subreddits that a model the categories that she might fall into? How do you actually find those?
Yeah, so basically what I did with the first creator, I posted her everywhere. And I just started looking at the amount of impressions it gave me. And at this time, it was very easy. You'd have a Reddit account. You'd post in these subreddits. There wasn't really any limit.
This time was what year was this?
3 years ago.
3 years. Okay, got it.
3 years ago, sorry. You just post in any subreddit. Worst case scenario, you got banned in that subreddit, but your Reddit account stayed alive. So it was, no biggie, because if the creator had small boobs and you posted her in the big boob subreddit, it wasn't going to work out either way. So whether you got banned or not in that subreddit,
irrelevant.
It didn't affect the account, and you just post in a different subreddit tomorrow. Now there's thousands of accounts, and one of the reasons I started, developing the knowledge that I have on Reddit was because I was posting in all of these subreddits and started finding out that there's also subreddits that you shouldn't be posting to, but we're giving you a lot of impressions, basically, because the Reddit algorithm was driven, and still is for the biggest part, by engagement in a different way than Instagram is. Because on Instagram, you'd be scrolling, coming across a girl you don't even follow. Just because you once liked a girl that looked like her, you could get this girl on your feed. So that's not the case on Reddit. If I'm part of a subreddit as a user of Reddit, as a user of the platform, so I would join Dragons Fucking Cars, and you would post a picture in Dragons Fucking Cars, I would be scrolling Reddit, and I would see the picture you posted in Dragons Fucking Cars.
Okay, sure. But it's not like recommendation based. You're seeing that because you are subscribed to that subreddit.
Exactly. Okay. So basically, exactly what you're saying. That's what it is. So let's say there was a subreddit of Asian girls, right? Asian hotties, for example, is a great one. They were a really accessible subreddit. You could just go in and post there with a new account. Some subreddits have requirements on your account, special usernames, minimal, age, whatever. But this subreddit was relatively easy accessible. When I found out I got banned in that subreddit with the first account, I just started making new accounts, getting new accounts every day, and just posting there, knowing that I got my account banned in that subreddit within 12 to 24 hours. But I did get a lot of impressions. So why did I get those impressions? I was looking at it like, it's not an Asian creator. Why do I get these impressions? And basically the comments of the post would flood with guys calling her out like, yo, fuck off. You're not Asian. What the fuck are you doing here? And after a week of building up that rage, these guys would come back and be like, oh, there she is again.
Okay.
There she is again with a new account. Oh, you got a new account again. And then it got me so many impressions, and it started getting subscribers on OnlyFans as well. So that basically told me like, okay, this isn't really an organic platform. You basically really want to force yourself into places you maybe shouldn't be in, because that makes it easier to compete. Let's say there's 100 Asian girls posting in this Asian subreddit. You are not pushing yourself up in the algorithm by just being another Asian girl.
Sure.
You want these comments because they push your post, towards the top of the subreddit. These upvotes, the people upvoting your post or downvoting your post. So a lot of people think Like we can like a post, but we can dislike a post on Reddit as well. A lot of people would think that upvotes were the only thing that mattered, the likes were the only thing that mattered, but that's not the case. It's the downvotes that matter too. Because what Reddit wanted to do is they wanted to show posts that were getting a lot of engagement. So if a post gets a lot of engagement, that means that whether it's good or bad engagement, likes or dislikes, it's an interesting post. And
Downvotes might indicate controversy, which might indicate something that more people are commenting on, more people are likely to engage with, even if it's not a positive engagement. That makes sense.
Exactly. And that's what would push this subreddit, this post of this specific subreddit, towards the people scrolling Reddit that were part of this subreddit.
Got it. Now,
so
do these tactics still, sorry to interrupt you, do these tactics still work today, or we're just strictly talking about like this is how Reddit worked three years ago?
So this was 3 years ago, but it's still kind of the case. The algorithm changed up a little bit. But now the difference is that Reddit really started being really, really strict. What do I mean by that? Well, 3 years ago, what we would do, or what I would do, is I would just get a new account, post there, and the account would, or the subreddit would ban the account, but the account would be alive. Nowadays, it's hard to even create an account without getting that account banned.
Yes, that was my experience, certainly.
Yeah, exactly. So if you just go on your computer right now, go to reddit.com, create an account, and next day post in any non-safe for work subreddit, your account's most likely getting banned. If there's no special warm-up, no special engagement, they really look at you doing the actions on the platform. They prefer you using the phone instead of the computer, all things like this. They check if your proxy is used properly or whatever, but that's because Reddit's a platform that's being used to scrape pretty much the most out of any platform, out of any social media platform in the world, just because there's a lot of user info in there. It's really easy to train AI data on Reddit because it's such an open platform, because people are talking about everything.
Right.
So they're not doing that to torture us. They're doing that just in general to protect their platform from bots, and they're looking at us as bots.
Got it. That makes sense. So, okay, the other question that I had related to what we were just talking about. So you explain how you identify subreddits. This was 3 years ago, it was a lot of trial and error. You're sort of discovering that there are like different vectors of generating engagement, not just positive engagement. Do you develop relationships? Like, is it advantageous? And do you personally develop relationships with these moderation teams? Or do you avoid talking to the moderators at all costs and just kind of do whatever you want?
So basically at the start,
what's the most advantageous way to approach the mod problem? Because obviously the moderators, if they don't like you, they can make your life miserable. They can make it so that you can just never post in that subreddit.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So at the start, I was really thinking like, okay, that's something you want to build up, but gradually over time, accounts were started getting banned here and there. I think we're going to discuss the real black hat part of Reddit in a bit, so I'll just leave it for then. But accounts were getting banned here and there, which was basically making it impossible for you to build up that bond or relationship with these moderators. If you were like really organic and you were a really good creator, the moderators would probably be open to it in some way. But most of the OG moderators that were actually moderators because they liked Reddit, because they liked the niche of this subreddit, because that's the reason they're there, they're not really open to agencies. So
they want to keep it like pure, so to speak. They want it to be all, if it like amateur creators or independent creators that are posting their own content, like that's what they're looking to preserve, basically.
Exactly.
Okay. So they don't want you on there. They don't want you on there spamming content, even if it's good, even if it's good content that falls under the sort of purview of that subreddit. It's the idea that you're sort of like manufacturing that they want to avoid.
Yeah, and not only that, so you're right, but not only that, like let's say you want to get a lot of impressions on your post, you'd post in a big subreddit, and the big subreddit would be more and more members in that subreddit, because then more and more members of that subreddit would be able to see your post.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're posting in a big subreddit with a lot of members, you also have a lot of competition. So, even if you perform really well in this subreddit, the chances of the moderators actually remembering you aren't really that big, or you'd have to niche down very, very good, and you'd have to be very recognizable. But yeah.
Got it. Okay. And then Reddit is also, so my understanding is all types of content are allowed, right? So you have text posts, you have video posts, you have photo posts. And we can get into this in greater detail in just a second, but from like a content strategy perspective, how do you identify, like what do you find is the most performant type of content? Obviously it's not text posts, I would imagine, in our specific industry.
That's the thing on Reddit, and I think that we might or should involve the black hat sort of discussion now as well.
Okay.
Um,
Let's
so
get into that then. So
yeah, so
we'll set that
yeah,
question aside. Explain
yeah,
what you mean by black hat.
yeah. So it goes hand in hand with the previous question. That's why. So there's white hat marketing, and that's something you really stand for in your other videos. It's all about organic, all about just very very good content. And if you just
Producing something that people actually want to watch.
exactly, exactly. Now, of course, that's kind of the case with Reddit as well, but I'm saying kind of because Reddit's not something that you want to organically build over time, or you do actually, but on the side, there's so much more to gain from Reddit.
Hmm.
So on Reddit, it would be relatively easy to have 100 or even 1,000 accounts, theoretically. Now, not saying you should have 100 or 1,000 accounts, but
For a
these
single creator, you're saying?
yeah. It
Okay,
would be
gotcha.
it would be possible, right? So let's say you have one account where you post videos of this creator, of course, high quality content, good lighting, good camera angle, not a bootleg background. It should all be pretty good, but we're talking about not short form content. We're probably talking about videos of her shaking her boobs. You know what I mean? Or anything like that, right? It's really non-safe for work in those terms.
Right. You
So
don't
you'd
need a
have
hook. You don't need like a narrative. There's no
no,
story. It's just the imagery, like the actual act is all that matters.
yeah, pretty much.
Got it. Okay. That's a very
You
different approach, obviously.
Exactly. And then you'd have subreddits where the hook really matters, right? But these would be called reddit.com r Instagram reels or whatever, right? And
Sure.
that's where, for example, and that's where you would upload those kind of those pieces of content. Now the thing is, that's a lot of work for, let's say, this subreddit, right? So there's maybe 10 or 15 subreddits where these kinds of videos would work. But the amount of members of that subreddit, so the amount of people that would be able to see that video, it would be such a small amount in terms of making that same amazing type of content that you would produce for Instagram. So let's say you yourself spend time on writing the Instagram script, right? For the Instagram reel, having the creator make that video, and then you might get 1 million views. So that same video is pretty much never going to hit 1 million views on Reddit. Whereas if you have a video of the model shaking her breasts for 10, 15 seconds, you'd be able to upload that exact video in 100 subreddits, and that video would get you 1 million impressions,
Got it.
all
In
combined.
aggregate.
Yeah,
Yes.
in
Okay.
aggregate.
That makes sense. And then you're also serving it directly to an audience that you know is interested in that type of content. So it's like big boobs or boob shaking or OnlyFans models shaking their boobs. So these are all, you might be able to post them in every single subreddit where that content might be even marginally relevant. That's okay.
Exactly.
I'm understanding why Reddit is attractive now.
Yeah. So now comes the black hat side of things. If we'd be talking about real organic and white hat marketing, where you would just have really good content, you would upload it, then we're probably talking about, let's say, 1 to 5, maybe 10 accounts for a creator,
Sure.
where you'd upload 1 to 2, maybe 4 or 5, really like original new videos every day, right? That's organic. Now, the thing with Reddit is, give me 100 pictures, like have a creator give me 100 pictures and I can promote her for the rest of the year with those 100 pictures,
Got
basically.
it.
And
You don't need
that's
to make
all
any new content. It's all just, yeah, reposted.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But now the thing comes, because there's so many subreddits, you kind of have to repost because, like, yeah, you can make 5 posts a day, but I'd rather make 50 posts per day or 100 posts per day. And then maybe one account can't handle that. So I would use 4 accounts to make those posts. And then I would just reuse the same image or video in every single account in multiple subreddits because this image would fit the subreddit. So if
Sure.
I have a creator with very, very large breasts and there's 100 subreddits for creators with very large breasts, I could just make 100 posts with that one piece of content in all those subreddits
Yeah.
and collect the views from all of those subreddits. So where the black hat part comes into play is basically, duplicating your content, getting another account and forcing yourself into more subreddits, but then also forcing yourself to the top by manipulating the algorithm of Reddit with, for example, purchasing upvotes for your post that would, have Reddit think your post is performing very well because it's getting attention and therefore show it to more people.
So let's really quickly. So black hat, basically in this context, we're talking about manipulating the algorithm and in some sense intentionally violating the terms of service of Reddit in order to get as much content out as possible.
Yes.
So what would you say are like so there's upvote manipulation, there's the actual account creation process. What are some of the other, because what I want to do here to structure this conversation is talk about like the individual elements of Black Hat Reddit promotion and like which ones are most important and how exactly do they function, and then maybe do like a compare and contrast of like, this is how an independent, when it comes to like upvote manipulation, right? If you're an independent creator, you're going to be relying entirely on organic upvote. You're going to be relying, if your content is good enough, hopefully people will see your new post and upvote it, versus what you're doing, you're sort of forcing virality within the context of a subreddit. So break down some of the core concepts, and then let's do like a compare and contrast on what a normal user would do versus what a Black Hat user would do.
So what a normal user would probably do is, let's say I'm a creator, I've got very big breasts and blonde hair. I'd probably just go into the search bar and search for the word blonde, search for the word big boobs, anything like that, and just collect a list of subreddits. And let's say I would do that as a normal user. I'd get a few subreddits, maybe 100, 200, with putting enough time into it. Now, what we would do is we would just have a scraper, create a scraper that would basically scrape every single subreddit that would or could be tied to either one of these niches. You'd build up a list of subreddits. You'd have 100,000 subreddits with their niche. So boobs, blonde hair, Caucasian, Asian, whatever. That would basically give you such a big list of subreddits that were already made for this creator, because this creator has blonde hair and big boobs. But it would also give us a lot of other subreddits, or subreddits in general, that aren't really tied to big boobs, but boobs in general, or booty, or anything like that. So we'd be able to create a massive list of subreddits to post this creator on. And then we'd also be able to basically mass post this creator, because we'd have a lot of accounts that we have, just in the automation created every day. These accounts being, that's what we call it, farmed, karma farmed. It's just warming up an account and having it meet subreddit requirements in terms of age and basically the popularity of your account for that subreddit. But if you have a lot of accounts, you'd be basically able to post in a lot more subreddits. So the
how
normal
many subreddits
creator,
are we talking? So like you onboard a new creator and you have this list of subreddits that might apply to the attributes that she possesses. How many subreddits would you set? Like, do you keep like a huge list of them, or how do you handle that?
Basically there's a huge list, and I honestly think there's no limit to it. So we kind of cap it, I'd be honest to you, because at some point Reddit is really relying on on their users' opinion.
Sure.
So let's say that you come across a post of mine and you've seen that post 5 times already. You might be done with it, and you would not only downvote it, but you would report my post or my account as well. Like I said 3 years ago, that would maybe get you banned in that subreddit. Nowadays, it would get your account banned off of Reddit.
When Super Creator reached out to me asking me to test out their CRM along with their integrated AI chatbot, Izzy, I didn't expect much. I've been very skeptical of AI chatting. I assumed that LLMs would hallucinate and create continuity issues, that the conversations would be low quality, and most importantly, that an AI would never be able to outperform human chatters when it comes to sales, which is what matters most. And on all 3 of these counts, I was dead wrong. After completing the onboarding process, where Super Creator ingests every detail about your model from eye color to conversational style, I personally tested Izzy on a free page with over 80,000 subscribers, and I was absolutely blown away. Izzy not only flawlessly imitated the model's personality and texting style, it had context-sensitive conversations with 0 hallucinations, with over 2,000 fans in a single day. And it sold more PPVs in that first 24 hours than I had sold on that page in the previous 3 months combined. And that's not a fluke. There are over 25,000 creators and agencies that are using Super Creator today, and Izzy has sold over $180 million of PPVs since its release just a few months ago. If you followed me for a while, you know that I only advocate for products that Milky actually uses and believes in, and Super Creator falls firmly into that category. So if you're an agency that's looking to dramatically cut chatting costs without sacrificing chat quality or revenue, Izzy is the solution, and I strongly recommend that you check it out today. And they're giving my viewers an insane deal. If you click the first link in the description and use promo code Francis at checkout, you will get 30% off plus 2,000 free AI messages to see for yourself just how powerful Izzy is. Now, back to the video. Right, which is a huge problem.
Yeah, because then you'd have to set up a new account and everything. And then, it's possible. We call it the suicide method, where we just go in and kamikaze that account, hoping it will bring in enough subscribers to make it a worthy ROI. But in the meantime, kind of trying to keep it organic, just posting a lot. You don't want to do that too much. So then coming back to how many posts would we do? Well, we'd gradually build it up, because if we post to, let's say, 500 subreddits for one creator, the likelihood of a lot of crossover members in all of those 500 subreddits seeing your posts from all these different accounts in all these different subreddits will create that they will or might report your post. For these moderators that have these subreddit chains, right? Multiple subreddits that are basically under the same moderators, under the same group of moderators, they could be like, oh, this is, account A posts in our first subreddit and his account or her account B posts in our second subreddit. We don't want this creator to have two accounts, and they would ban you there as well. So we gradually build it up and test our limits. Whereas with creators that we've been working with for a while, we really don't care anymore, because we already messed up that reputation, basically. So we'd go all in, 500 sub, no worries. We just post and post and post and post and post.
So, okay, that brings us to the question of, you're accepting obviously some breakage. You're accepting that you're going to lose some, if not a majority of these accounts. What is the actual account? Like, I would imagine that you have a system, like an automated account creation method. And then, because if you're buying these accounts, these are probably like for a quote unquote seasoned Reddit account, you're probably paying $40-50 a pop, something like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to break this down piece by piece. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. For one creator, let's say that you've got a creator, you're onboarding somebody new. How many accounts are you going to create for that model on like day one?
Yeah. So what a regular agency probably would do is they would buy a couple of these accounts. Now, there's two accounts being sold. We're talking about created accounts. We're talking about cracked accounts. And the cracked accounts are basically just accounts hacked from other users. So big web databases.
I see. Like stolen, basically.
Yeah, stolen accounts. So, your personal account, because someone would be able to crack your password or whatever, we'd be able to steal your account. And if your account is a seasoned account, then the agency could use that account.
Very interesting.
Now, Reddit has been really cracking down on that. Like they are noticing that an account is getting stolen, and they would ban that account relatively quickly. But that used to be the real thing, just buying accounts or setting up a system where you would hack or crack these accounts yourself. That was really a thing. Nowadays, because that creates, or it has a relatively high ban rate, the sellers of these accounts, because there's basically a couple of places to buy these accounts. There's 100 sellers, 1,000 sellers of these accounts, but there's some go-to sellers of these accounts, just because it's easy and they're reliable. But these sellers as well, it started breaking down on them bit by bit. So a lot of normal agencies wouldn't use these sellers anymore. And then we're talking created accounts. And the reason we are buying created accounts, or someone would be buying created accounts, is because, like you said, they're seasoned.
Yep. So explain seasoning really quickly.
We're talking each subreddit has their own ability to set requirements for posting requirements for their subreddit. So you can join the subreddit, but you're only allowed to post there if your account is, let's say, for example, at least 30 days old or 60 days old. It has at least 10,000 post karma. What is post karma? Well, that means basically collectively all the upvotes you've gathered on the posts was a combination of, let's say, 15,000 would accumulate to 10,000 post karma. Long story short.
So you have to demonstrate basically that like people have liked your content in the past in order to even access some of these subreddits.
Yeah, well, that's one reason. The other reason is because, 3-4 years ago, these subreddits didn't really have that. And we would just create an account today and just go all in tomorrow. And, kamikaze, like I said, we didn't care about the account getting banned because we didn't need the seasoning at this point as much as we need it now. So, the subreddit moderators are now able to set these requirements and making it harder for people to post in these subreddits. And that's why the smaller agencies or the creators themselves without an agency that has a system set up for this are, having a relatively harder time than a bigger agency with a good setup system would have, because, you need to either buy these accounts, pay for them. It's an investment, right? Let's say an account is between $20 and $50. and you want to post, let's say, 200 times a day, you want to do 20 posts per account per day, that's 10 accounts times $50,
Yeah.
risking, let's say, 3, 4, 5 accounts of these getting banned. We're talking quite a lot of money for either a creator that doesn't have an agency and has to do that investment, as well as, an agency that didn't start yet or is new to Reddit and
Sure.
doesn't know this. They'll be sacrificing, or they'll be playing with a lot of money before they'll realize what the actual system should be.
Right.
So what we do is we have an account creation system. Every day there's new accounts being created, and there's just a farming team, and there's just, a team of virtual assistants, and they are basically farming these accounts, and the farming is the seasoning. So they are building up the upvotes on their accounts in meme subreddits, right? So if I post a meme, it's relatively easy to just get a lot of upvotes and therefore build up my post karma. We have a certain, requirement. An account is done seasoning if it hits 2,000 post karma and 300 comment karma, and it will just, stack up, and you'd have a stack of hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of accounts that are just seasoned. And let's say we need a new one, we just get it from the pile of accounts, and then we continue, and this farming goes on and on and on and on. So we're not farming or creating accounts because we need them. We're farming or creating them, and if we need them, we'll take them.
Got it. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So you basically are just stockpiling accounts for future use. If you lose an account, you can immediately rotate in one of these seasoned accounts. So
yeah, basically.
Do you have like a system for, like, is there a way to reliably generate this karma? Like what this?
Yeah,
You
so
said
there's
you're
all
posting
these.
like meme subreddits. So you're mostly you're starting in safer work subreddits that are a little bit more benign. You're building up the account karma there. What does that process actually looks like? You have a team doing this.
Yeah, so basically you're creating this account, you're having it sit for a few days. So, some of the subreddits that have low posting or commenting requirements will allow you to post and comment there. We call them, the farming VAs would just go in, get these accounts, and have a list of subreddits they would engage with to make it easy for them to build up this karma. So farming is against terms of service of Reddit. So that's a black hat thing on its own already. A lot of people
Sure.
don't realize this, but if you go in too hard on the farming part, Reddit will recognize it. They will ban your account even if you just start commenting on normal car posts or memes or whatever. So that's something you want to build up gradually. So let's say you create an account, the farmers would just warm up the accounts for 2-3 days by just being a normal user, dropping a like here and there, maybe dropping a comment here and there. And once that account is warm after a few days, they would start farming this account. And farming the account is pretty easy. You just want to get likes, upvotes on your comments as well as on your posts. There's post karma, there's comment karma. Likes on your comment equals comment karma. Likes on your post equals post karma.
Makes sense.
If you would go into a subreddit that's really small, not a lot of members, very niche down, Dragons fucking cars, for example, doesn't have a lot of members, doesn't have a lot of engagement. So you could write the best comment of the world in there, and you'd get maybe 2 or 3 likes, and therefore maybe 2 or 3 comment karma. Whereas if you'd go into any life advice subreddit and someone's writing a story about their life, and you would give them, the perfect life advice, you could get 2, 3, 4, 5,000 upvotes on that single comment, and therefore have the account meet the requirements with that one single comment.
Got it. So how are you? So these VAs that are farming karma, especially comment karma, how are they identifying? Because presumably these are like people who are English as a second language, I would assume.
Yep.
You're not paying United States people to like go come up with the perfect comment in relationship advice or whatever. So how do you train those people to do that? Or are you finding people that like have already demonstrated competency there? Like what's the formula for like farming? How are you actually structuring the comments reliably so that you're farming this karma as quickly as possible? Because obviously you want to get these accounts online and operational as fast as you can.
For sure. So, there's 2 ways you could do that. There's a lot of people just, instead of buying accounts off the sellers of these accounts, hiring VAs that prepare these accounts. So you would deliver these VAs accounts, they would farm them, and for every X post karma and X comment karma, you'd pay them a certain amount of dollars. And if they take 1 day or 1 week or 1 month to farm that account, that's up to them.
Got it. But it costs the same for you either way.
For example, yeah. And then I just have a team of, guys that are basically doing it. It's their job to just farm this karma, but it could be a very boring job. So what we basically do is we have this small team of VAs that are just doing this on a day-to-day basis, but an automation that worms these accounts and is able to farm these accounts as well, basically. Now, for anyone of the FBI and Reddit watching this, that's absolutely not what we do.
Of course not. Yeah. In
Yeah, that's
Minecraft.
in Minecraft. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's tons of different ways, but the most simple way would be just warming up that account a little bit, making relatable comments, relatable posts in the right places
Yeah.
that will get
I
you the
guess
right amount of upvotes.
my question is, how are you coming up with the posts and comments? Like, how do you know what's going to work?
Yeah, sorry. Of course, for me, it makes a lot of sense. So I understand you asking that question.
Yeah.
So let's just take any random niche or subreddit niche, right? So we're warming or farming these accounts usually in places that we do not promote our models in. Let's make that clear. So the account is being created. It doesn't have a name or anything or a link in bio for the creator yet. It's just a blank account, and this account has to be farmed, has to be seasoned. These VAs, at some point, they will start understanding where to post, where to comment. But there's a lot of general subreddits like Ask Reddit, for example, is a place where users can just ask their questions and they would make a post. So someone else would make a post about anything, virgins of Reddit. How old are you and why are you still a virgin could be a post, but it could also be, Lord knows, like, have you ever built an IKEA closet? If so, what would you recommend me to do?
Gotcha.
So there's all these different posts that you could reply to, and then finding the niche of this subreddit and then engaging in the right way this niche wants you to engage, like they don't want you to be funny. If someone asks you a question about you being a virgin, Reddit is a really leftist platform. So they don't want you to be funny and make fun of virgins. So you just have to be really sensitive and, I don't know, pretend to be a virgin and write a really good comment about why you're still a virgin. But it could also be, for example, you making a funny comment on a random meme, right, in a different subreddit.
Got it. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So now let's talk about upvote manipulation. So this is something that you sort of obliquely referenced earlier. Obviously, this is another thing that's like going to be more black hat. You specifically said paying for upvotes. Who are you paying for upvotes, and how does that process work, and how is it beneficial to you?
Yeah, so without saying too much, because I'm not really sure if I want to expose the right or wrong people.
Yeah.
You can purchase upvotes to your post, and this will make it easier for you to get impressions on your post. Now, Reddit started banning accounts faster and faster. Nowadays, if you buy upvotes, it's getting harder and harder to get your accounts to survive, but there's basically a few public upvote providers, and these guys build systems with thousands of accounts in these systems. They would have a panel or a user interface where you would top up your account and buy an upvote for $0.01 or half a cent or whatever their price is. And you would buy maybe 10, maybe 100 upvotes or whatever. And that would boost your post. Now, having your or boosting your post this way doesn't mean your post is good, right? So if your post was actually good, it would get this engagement organically and you wouldn't have to do that. So now you're able to basically get less high quality, less good, less entertaining content, get more impressions really fast. And that's why you would do such a thing.
Got it. Okay. That makes perfect sense. Okay. So we just talked about manipulation. So, okay, now let's get to actual content strategy. So, or actually before that, what are the other key concepts that are walk me through the entire process of you onboard a new model. How many accounts are you creating? Or how many accounts how many accounts are you going to utilize for that model over the course of her, let's say, career?
So I'm going to tell you a little bit more background information on different strategies on Reddit, because there's different strategies that you could apply to, get more impressions. And from there, I can explain why you would need more or less accounts.
Got it.
So the regular way to post to Reddit would basically be posting nude or sexy, non-safe for work content to non-safe for work subreddits. Got big boobs, you post to big boobs. Got small boobs, you post to small boob. Now, let's say that you're, being creative and you got everything set up like this, the regular way, you're being creative. Then there's also a lot of safe for work subreddits where people would just, I don't know, ask for advice for piercings in their ears or makeup advice. And you could also post in these subreddits, basically. And then there's a lot of people that are also members of these communities, of these subreddits, that would see your post, and they are not there to basically, subscribe to your OnlyFans, which a lot of the people in the non-safe for work subreddits are. But these guys, you could also gather them in just by asking for makeup advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just to give you a small example, there's a group of people on Reddit a group of managers on Reddit, and all they do is basically find these safe for work subreddits and kamikaze these subreddits with as many accounts as they need to kamikaze them every day, because they get a lot of impressions. It's not a very niche down thing. It's relatively simple that if you go to a subreddit called makeup advice, there's a lot of girls posting there, and
Yep.
therefore a lot of guys lurking on these girls.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
that
and yeah.
that wouldn't be intuitive to me as somebody, because if you took that
Mhm,
approach on, let's say, like Instagram, right?
mhm.
I wouldn't imagine that there's a lot of guys watching makeup tutorial videos on Instagram so that they can find creators who are posting, naughty stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, those platforms don't work like that. Like, my Instagram feed is never going to have makeup tutorials unless I'm warming up an account for a model that wants to do makeup tutorials or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
So
For sure.
that's an interesting insight.
Oh, so that's like another way, right, to promote. And then also, because this makeup subreddit is a safe for work subreddit, users don't have to change the settings of their Reddit to be able to visit this subreddit. Whereas if we were talking about big boobs, small boobs, non-safe for work subreddits, you'd have to change the settings in either your phone or your Reddit account on PC to even be able to visit these subreddits.
Got it.
So the makeup subreddit would get you so many more impressions because there's so many people that don't even know about the non-safe for work function of Reddit, and therefore would be able to visit this makeup subreddit and wouldn't be able to visit this big small boob subreddit because they were there. And then going back to the start of our conversation of this call, because they were there in the first instance asking questions about their car, how to fix my car. And that's how they joined Reddit, right?
Got it.
So let's say we're talking about someone that's looking to fix their car. Let's say, who's the average person to look to Google, like, I need to fix my car. What's wrong with my car? We're probably talking about, guys ages between, let's say, 18 and 50. I don't know.
Sure.
Uh,
But it's going to be primarily male. There's not a lot of women that are like,
Probably.
women are just going to call a mechanic.
Probably. And then
Yeah.
what these guys would do, Reddit has great systems to always top Google. So they're always number one, number two on Google. And
Got
then these normal users, so not the people that were there specifically to find you and your OnlyFans, but the normal people that were there to fix their car, they came from Google.
Yeah.
They went to this subreddit to fix their car. And there we are, not we, whoever, right? A model could be with an extra account where she wouldn't post her boobs on
Right.
this account, but this account would be an account with, very provocative username that would give away that she's a girl, as well as having a female profile picture, which then creates the curiosity with the guys,
Ooh, this girl knows car stuff. Let's check out her profile.
Exactly. So if I was a girl and I would post to this subreddit, I need help to fix my car, right? Like, oh, my car's broken down. How do I fix this? How do I replace a tire? Whatever. There's a big likelihood of a lot of guys finding that post and therefore finding your account, and from there funneling them to the OnlyFans as well. So if we're talking about how many accounts does one need, well, this is a strategy on its own. But then this account that we're posting in this car subreddit with, it wouldn't be realistic to make that same post in 30 car subreddits and the next day doing it in, I don't know, 30 bike subreddits.
Right.
And the day after posting it in 30 truck subreddits. So that's what I mean by, you could hit 10 accounts, but you could hit 100 accounts as well. And the way to dominate Reddit is covering everything, but covering everything is not really something that's worth it in most occasions.
Sure. Got it. Okay. Now let's talk about the actual funnel really quick. So how are you getting, again, you're talking to somebody that's totally Reddit agnostic. So how do you actually, let's say you have a post that pops off on the big boob subreddit or something like this. How are you actually getting the traffic from that post to Reddit? Is there a link on the user's profile?
Yeah.
Basic,
Great question.
How do you actually get it there?
Great question. So subreddit moderators are basically allowed to change the rules to whatever they want. And if the rules say you can comment your own OnlyFans link in the bio or watermark it on your post, you're able to do that.
Okay.
But let's say that 99% of the subreddits doesn't allow that. 99% of the subreddits allows you to post it on your profile, on your Reddit profile, in the bio. That's it.
Got it.
So you'd post there. They would just go to your account. And the good thing about these non-safe for work subreddits is basically that the biggest part of these members, of these guys that are in these subreddits, they know you're there as a model to promote your OnlyFans.
Right.
So
they know the drill. So
yeah,
so
they
they're
don't
likely
accidentally stumble upon you.
Right. So if they want to see more of you, they know where to go. They just click on the account.
That's it. Yeah,
and you
they
get
know
your
it.
link. Okay.
They know
Got
it. And then there's a lot of subreddits as well that don't allow the link in the bio. So I'll give you a quick example. The makeup subreddit that I was just talking about, they because everyone started bombarding and kamikazing this subreddit, now they added a rule. You're not allowed to promote your OnlyFans. So let's say a few months ago, we were able to put the link in bio, post there, and just get the people from there straight away. But what we have to do now, for example, is open the Reddit DMs, have them open so that people could DM in on your account, and you'd have to, reply to all these DMs and maybe send the link in there. Now,
Got it.
Reddit's cracking down on that as well, because you're not allowed to send the link that much. And, having an account and chatting with 30 different people at the same time on one account is not something that Reddit was made for. So cracking down on that as well. And then we're talking about surviving on Reddit, because then you could do it, but you'd need a ton of accounts again. So
Right.
At what point would you tell yourself off, this is not worth it anymore?
That's a question that I was going to ask you, because it seems like sort of one of the trends of this conversation is that over time, Reddit you talked about they were cracking down on sold and cracked accounts. They're starting to crack down on moderation, where if you get banned in a subreddit, now you're just banned, your whole account gets banned. So it seems like the course that things are taking is that over time, Reddit moderators, and this is obviously true of basically all platforms, right? Every platform across the board is always trying to figure out some way to combat sex work being promoted on their website, whether that's Instagram or TikTok, obviously is a great example, as you referenced earlier in this conversation. So first of all, there's a couple different lines of questioning here. I think all of it leads into what I want to get into, which is like customer psychology on Reddit, because I think that the users of these platforms are very different. I think the question, as I want to phrase it for now, is something like, when do you make the decision of, okay, Reddit's no longer worth it? Because obviously for you, it still is. But what is it like? Has your ROI dropped over time, or what? Explain to me that arc.
The ROI has definitely dropped. The ROI has definitely dropped. Yeah, for sure. So when I started on this platform, you'd have, let's say, one account. If you kamikaze this account back in the day, it would still survive for a week. So the cost of that account would be $40 per week, right? And you would basically be able to post 100 posts a day with that account. If you would post in a subreddit where you weren't allowed to post because your creator didn't,
fit the criteria,
or didn't fit the criteria, the account wouldn't get banned in general, but just in that subreddit. So back in the day, it was very, very easy. Nowadays, you can still do it, but you just gotta, stay strong and just calculate. I don't know how to say it. Like, be prepared, basically.
Right.
So
because you're going to lose account.
Yeah, and then for each and every creator there is, right? Every agency, every creator, there's one thing that every creator and every agency should definitely do: have one Reddit account, get a dedicated VA. No scheduling, no post scheduling, nothing. If you're new to Reddit, get a dedicated VA, figure it out yourself for a bit first. And this dedicated VA has a phone with this account for that creator on it, and just posts every day or every other day to keep the account warm and alive and not overdo it, but organically post this account to the good subreddits, right? Yeah. So there's definitely hundreds of really good subreddits that it's worth posting organically. Without doing any manipulation, without getting a second or a third or a fourth or a fifth account.
Sure.
There's a lot of subreddits that are definitely worth it to have an account, and they will definitely get your subscribers. Just if you hit the right subreddits, if you find the right subreddits, just definitely do that always. Yeah. Sorry, where were we again?
No, that answers the question beautifully, I think. I was just trying to figure out, where, has the ROI dropped? It sounds like it has, but it's still obviously worth it because you've invested so much time into this platform. You understand it better than probably 99% of people out there. And so I think the question that follows from that is, why do you think these subreddits all have rules against self-promotion, right? It seems to me like when I look at these NSFW subreddits, it's an entire community of people whose lives in some sense revolve around masturbation. And so it's so strange to me that they're in some sense hostile towards content creators who are trying to monetize, who are trying to make money making the content that they devote their lives to. What is that about? Explain that to me.
So basically, Reddit is one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. And the reason for this is not because there's porn. It's because it's just a really great discussion board, right?
Hmm.
It's a forum, it's a discussion board. So like I said, the people that are there for the cars and the people that are there for the memes, they're there as well. So now that, there's all these non-safe for work subreddits, but the non-safe for work category on Reddit wasn't made to promote yourself. It's been around
Yeah.
for years, even before OnlyFans was there. And back in the days, girls would literally, because it would be a turn on for them back in the days, would post their boobs on there without monetizing it, just because they, it's a kink, showing their boobs online or whatever.
Right.
The
Exhibitionism.
exhibitionism, for example, yeah, or just the kink of being watched or whatever. Non-safe for work Reddit has been around for a very long time, and OnlyFans, starts coming up, and all of a sudden, everyone's using Reddit as a platform to promote their OnlyFans. And that's basically where it started taking a turn, because if everyone just started, like a normal user would, have one account on their phone and just
Yeah.
post to, let's say, 10 or 20 subreddits a day, Reddit wouldn't mind, But nowadays, the thing is that everyone is building new accounts using anti-detect browsers to not be detected, using proxies to create different accounts every single day, farm different accounts, warm different accounts. And that's basically causing Reddit to, lose their value on the stock market, because they went public like last year or 1.5, 2 years ago.
I see. So now it's like they don't want to be associated with sex work because they're a publicly traded company.
And I wouldn't say sex work itself. What I would say is they don't want to be associated with bots. And
Got it. Okay.
for the
Got it.
OnlyFans right now, for the OnlyFans creators right now, they would mark you as a bot relatively fast, just because you know what you're there for. So you have that account and you're there to post in this subreddit, but
Right.
you're not using the platform like they want you to use the platform. So you're not increasing the value of their stocks by
Right.
being an actual user. You're just using them to promote yourself and getting people out of their platform instead
Got
of
it.
on their platform.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then it also makes sense on the moderation side is the one that I was more curious about, but you answered that pretty neatly. And it sounds like basically prior to OnlyFans, you had sort of a culture of women going on there and providing a bunch of free NSFW content, quote unquote, for the love of the game. And now they're doing it for the love of money. Like they're using it as a promotional tool, which is not the intended use of the platform, either from the commercial side, from the Reddit side, or from the perspective of the users. Like that's not what they want either. They want someone who just wants to show their tits for free because they like doing that.
Exactly. And then also keep in mind, non-safe for work is a very broad subject. So there's also a lot of subreddits, communities that are revolving around the use of drugs or rehabilitation after the use of drugs or whatever. And these are also considered non-safe for work. So it's not like a boobs subreddit gets treated differently than a subreddit that's called heroin. It's very open, and people that are using heroin can just openly discuss using heroin on the heroin subreddit. But that's definitely non-safe for work as well.
Right,
maybe
course,
we don't see any titties, but it's definitely not safe. Definitely not safe for work.
So my question is, it seems as though the way that things are structured right now, you're at the mercy of the platform and you're especially at the mercy of the moderators. Is there a reason, or maybe you do this and I'm just not aware, why don't you just create your own subreddits to promote the exact type of content that you want?
Yeah, so we are doing that for sure. The thing is that the subreddit needs growth. And just like the same way that Reddit is punishing accounts, they're punishing subreddits as well. So it's not really something that you just grow like that. Like it's not, I just create a subreddit and tomorrow I'll have 1,000 and next week I'll have 10,000 members, for two different reasons. Reason A, how to grow this subreddit, right? Like, okay, let's say you have a subreddit and you call it super duper big boobs, whatever.
I love how that's what we keep going back to.
Dragons fucking motorcycles.
Okay, got it.
Then how would people ever find this subreddit, right? So either they would find this subreddit by specifically looking for the subreddit with that name, because it's not showing up with the great SEOs or whatever, right? You have to find it. So you'd have to either find, or the users have to find it through the search bar and then really looking for it, or they'd have to find it because they are, for example, following a creator that posted in that subreddit. Now, let's say we have an account of a creator that's performing really well, and the account is staying alive, it's not getting banned, and that account has the ability to make, for example, 30 posts per day after the seasoning and whatever, right? If I have 30 posts a day, I can choose to either spend those 30 posts wisely in subreddits that I know are going to give me ROI today because I posted there, instead of, let's say posting to 25 subreddits that are really good and posting in 5 new subreddits that are definitely not going to pay off today. So you'd be wasting those 5 posts of that account posting in the subreddits that are not giving you subscribers, because that's kind of the only way to build that way. Yeah, so it's worth it. Don't get me wrong. If you're actually willing to hop into Reddit as a moderator as well, definitely do it, build it up. But it takes a lot of time to build up subreddits. Whereas for most agency owners, most creators, it's not worth it.
Got it. Okay. But that's something that you guys are exploring, because obviously Reddit is something that you do at scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it happens over time as well. You know, like if you just
an investment.
Yeah, and if you put in enough time in Reddit, like, you just want to figure out the platform, you can take over subreddits, right? If a moderator's account gets banned and there's no moderator for a subreddit, you can apply to moderate that subreddit, things like this. So you can take them over, but that's for most people not worth it to really look at it if they're not already doing Reddit, right?
Got it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm trying to think if I have any more. What are some things about the Reddit platform? I mean, we've obviously talked about a lot of things that I think most people aren't even aware of. What are some, actually, here's a question. What is, like, when you're identifying subreddits for a creator to post in, what are the attributes or qualities of, you find a subreddit and you're like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Like, what makes a great subreddit for NSFW content for OnlyFans promotion?
Yeah, so if we're looking at just the regular way of promoting, and after that, I would love to tell you some more about different strategies on Reddit again.
Please, yes.
Let's say we have the regular way, right? The link in the bio, posting in a subreddit that fits the niche, right? Yep. That's it. There's a ton of subreddits. If I would look up the word boobs in the search bar of Reddit, it would basically show me the best subreddit for boobs. Yeah. And then the second best and the third best and the fourth best. So let's say, for example, there's 10 subreddits. You are a member of these 10 subreddits. You would have the home feed of Reddit, and that's, the app. You open the app, you scroll the app, and that's where you see the posts, right? Like, of course, you can visit this subreddit and then scroll through the subreddit itself, but the most views would come from you popping up on the home feed. You popping up on the home feed is something that happens if you are the post with good engagement, right? Yeah. And that's why you get a lot of views. But that also comes with if you are competing in a very big subreddit with other creators that have better content than you, making it very hard for you to actually be the one being shown to the Reddit users that want to view your post.
Sure. Yeah.
So a lot of people have a big misconception, like, oh, what is the right time to post on Reddit? If I post 3 p.m. CET or whatever, that's the best time to post, because there's not really such a thing, because there's so many people posting. Yeah. So many people. So they're
from all over the world at all times of day.
All over the world at all times, as well as so many subreddits being there. So instead of, utilizing it like that, there's just get it over with. Just post as much as you can in different subreddits, try the different subreddits, see what gets you the most views. If you post a Caucasian creator in an Asian niched down subreddit, you're not going to get views. So find subreddits that really fit the niche. And from there, just really explore, find the best subreddits for you. We have creators that I would say were 1-to-1 copies of one another, both same height, same weight, same body type.
Characteristics,
exact same characteristics. And one would pop off on a subreddit like crazy, and it would the post would perform very, very well, and the other creator just would not pop off. So there's there's big differences as well. It's really something to niche down on. Reddit is really a platform that really likes the niching down on the creators.
Rewards specificity.
Yeah, and back in the days this wasn't the case, because creating the rage bait created engagement, created more views, but now it bans your account. So now the quality of the content has to be a lot better.
Yeah, got it. So, okay, that brings me to one more question before we get into, I would love for you to just sort of like freeform rant about strategy. So what makes a creator ideal for Reddit? When you look at so for instance, I have a creator that's like that's like very broadly appealing. She's got big boobs. That's like her most noteworthy characteristic, not a ton else going on. So like my experimentation with Reddit, I never yielded any results. I think obviously she probably would have done well. Ironically, we've been talking about the big boob subreddits the entire time. I think she would have done extraordinarily well there had I been able to implement a Reddit strategy properly. But outside of that, probably somewhat limited implementation. So when you look at a creator, what makes a creator perfect for Reddit? Is it the types of NSFW content they create? Is it a body type? Is it a physical appearance thing? Some combination? Like, what do you look for?
Yeah, so where a lot of agencies fail, and it's really easy to see if an agency fails, where a lot of, on Reddit itself, sorry, where a lot of agencies fail is not niching down properly if we're talking about the general Reddit strategy. So if we're talking about the general Reddit strategy, where you just post to subreddits with the link in bio, and you just convert like that, nothing special, no special call to actions. You want to have high quality content, right? So good lighting, good quality, a model that fits the niche, and all these things, a model that fits the subreddit. If you have this creator with the big boobs you're talking about, she could have the biggest boobs in the world, and they could be huge. But if the subreddit is there for boobs or average boobs or big boobs, but not super huge boobs, then you could already, be posting in the wrong subreddit. So
Got it.
point one is the quality of the content has to be good, really good. It has to be appealing to the eye. And from there, each creator, and that's the good thing about Reddit, you can basically get pretty much every type of creator perform on Reddit, some better than others, just in general, because it's easier to niche them down. It's easier to put them in their own niche. If you'd have, say, a 18, 19, 20-year-old creator that just looks like she's 18, 19, 20-year-old, and she's average in everything, then there's a lot of places where you could post her. And that could give you an advantage because there's a lot of places you could post her. But now let's say there's a goth girl, 40-year-old goth creator, you'd have to niche down way harder. Whereas on the other hand, if she's really good at what she does, it's really easy for her to get those niched subscribers, niched fans from Reddit as well. Yeah.
And what do you, okay, so let's talk about like on an LTV basis. So from my perspective, right, the ideal organic social creator is somebody who has like a really extraordinary personality, is very hardworking, is producing content, the actual content, typically short form video is where we get the most meat off the bone, has to be very good, right? So you're talking about they're a good storyteller, they're engaging, they're doing something that people find visually interesting, and there's the physical attractiveness element that comes into play. But really, I think the physical attractiveness, like the physical characteristics of the model, matter less than the other three things. So it seems like with Reddit, it's almost inverted because the personality really matters very little because you're manufacturing that personality entirely through the text that is associated with the post as opposed to the content itself. So is it really just all physical?
That's a great question, actually. So yeah, that's a very broad thing. And that, again, depends per subreddit, right? Let's say you would have a creator that's, we're talking about super pretty creators, but, let's say that there's a creator that's absolutely not my type, right? She's absolutely not my type. That doesn't mean she's nobody's type, right? So the way to niche that down is already, whose type is this? Is this a niche? Is she a goth? Is she an e-girl? Is she, where does she fit? And let's say she's an e-girl and she has large breasts as well. She'd already fit two niches, right? The large breast niche and the e-girl niche. So niching her down, you could already find 50 subreddits for those niches and start posting her from there. And then the e-girl part could play a very big role, right, in converting fans if we're talking about the posts in the e-girl subreddits, whereas it could create trouble converting fans from the big boob subreddit. Despite her having big boobs, maybe the guys that are there for the big boobs are not there for the e-girl. So that really differs, but therefore the physical appearance, so not the physical attractiveness, but the physical appearance is a very important factor for wherever you post. But then again, there's always a place to post your model where she could succeed. Right. So that's a very, very good thing. Now, we don't have to create a hook in the content. Yes, we could, and that's very nice. Like if you could create super good content, right? Like 10 out of 10, 20 out of 10 content, the best content there is, that would perform really well. But I would much rather have 10 pieces of content that are like 7 out of 10 than I would have 3 pieces of content, 2 or 3 pieces of content that are 10 out of 10.
Because your objective is basically to spam as much content as possible. So from a purely like utilitarian perspective, you just want as much exposure through posting as opposed through content quality.
Yes, because you getting 1 million views on Reddit is such a small chance with a single post.
Right.
Let's say we're talking Instagram, it's your thing, Instagram, organic social. You are aiming for that 1 million views for every reel. That's why you make those reels. That's not the same objective you have with Reddit. You just want to collect views, and you shouldn't be thinking about every post as much as you're doing with Instagram. Right. Every post is, we have a picture of, a cute picture of the girl and her booty. or her breasts or whatever, we find all the subreddits it would perform well in, and we would post it over there without thinking about it too much.
Yep.
Find a great caption, use that caption for the post, and just post it without thinking too much. And then one great picture could perform just as well as a 30-second video where she'd
Sure.
really try and be an actress.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, now I'm gonna leave the floor to you. Like, what is it that you want to share, to discuss?
Yes. So if we're talking strategies, right, there's the general strategy. You'd get a creator and you would post her to an unsafe for work subreddit that allows you to promote your OnlyFans. You would put the OnlyFans in bio, or the OnlyFans link in bio. You don't need special landing pages like you do on Instagram or anything. That's it. Now, there's also a lot of subreddits that don't allow you to promote yourself. We've discussed them, right? The car subreddits and everything. And if we're talking about really mastering and basically doing everything you can on Reddit, you would run more and more accounts. Basically, you could do all these different things, right? You could comment bait. So let's say I would go to a subreddit where a lot of guys comment on a sexy girl or whatever, right? A girl posting a sexy picture of herself, sorry. I could get an account, I could reply to all these comments and just say, oh, thank you so much, pretending that I was the girl posting that, and have the guys, oh, wait, she replied to my comment. They would click my reply and they could also from there funnel to the OnlyFans. So that's something that you would do with an account that you're not posting with the same way that you would use the regular strategy on, right? So you'd have the first account and it would post to all the non-safe for work subreddits. But then there's, for example, 500 non-safe for work subreddits that your creator could fit in. So you divide them by one account having 100 and just every day posting 20. So that's 5 days, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. And then like again and again and again. But you could have multiple accounts spread over different subreddits. And, the more resources you have, the bigger your team is, or the better your automation systems work, the easier it is to basically utilize that and basically, put it to use. So if you'd have a list of 1,000 subreddits that your model would fit in, one account would not be enough. So you'd need a ton of accounts to post the creator to all these different subreddits. And that's strategy one, right? Because now we're just talking about the subreddit that does allow you to put the link in bio. And then we get another account or multiple accounts where we could reply to comments of guys that are turned on by a girl posting in a subreddit, and we just pretend to be them. So if you have your creator and she has large breasts, you just go to the subreddit with the large breasts, and you just go to the posts that are going really viral, that are getting a lot of comments, and you could just reply to any commenter saying, oh, thank you so much. And that could trigger these guys to also go to your profile. Now, the moderators could find out, ban your account, and the account would only last for a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it. Because if you have the resources and if you have the system set up, despite the account being banned every day, if you have new accounts every day and it gives you, let's say, 2 or 3 new subscribers on the OnlyFans page every day, it could be worth it, depending on your LTV. You just mentioned LTV. If you have a great LTV, you could definitely, put every account to use if it's, if the ROI, if you make the ROI worth it.
Right.
So that's another strategy. Then another strategy would be like, instead of getting all these fans and getting them to the OnlyFans straight away and having them pay a subscription price straight away, because, maybe you set it as $3. Some guys do free trial links, some guys do free pages. But let's say you have a paid page and you are posting, sexy pictures, whether they do or do not show a full nipple and breasts and everything. You could also say, okay, I want to funnel them to, for example, an Instagram account where you would have an AI chatbot chat with the guys over there and to funnel them over to OnlyFans from there. And then you'd get a lot of chats on Instagram. Reddit doesn't allow chatting that much. They would ban your account relatively quick. So that's why you would convert them to an Instagram. And then because you have the Instagram in bio instead of the OnlyFans in bio, you're also, again, opening your doors to a lot of new subreddits that didn't allow you to post because you had your OnlyFans link in bio. So there's tons of different ways to basically promote on OnlyFans or promote your OnlyFans on Reddit directly and indirectly. If I would post, let's say, a creator to a subreddit with the makeup, you're not allowed to have your OnlyFans link in the bio, but you are allowed to have an Instagram link in the bio, and you're getting a lot of views, and you could build up a following on Instagram and then use that account from there, even posting reels or whatever, and get a small boost from that. Build up a small Instagram following from there. What a lot of people do is they have their Reddit just posting, it's a very simple system, have a VA, have them do simple posts every day, but put the Twitter in the bio. Twitter's, a relatively simple platform when it comes to, you just want to reply and just make tweets, just get likes, retweets, impressions. The more, the better. The more followers, the easier it is to get these impressions.
Sure.
So instead of immediately getting these Reddit fan these guys on Reddit to subscribe to the OnlyFans, you could also funnel them to Twitter, and from there grow a Twitter account to basically establish a better presence on Twitter. So you could use it in tons of different ways to drive traffic. And I would say that the normal way, the regular way with the link in bio is the first way to do. And if you do it the right way, one account could definitely get you, let's say, anywhere upwards from 10 paid subs per day. But then if you're running multiple accounts, you could get way more, right?
Got it.
That's kind of the trick.
Yeah.
Now, these 10 paid subs, and that I can say, I've been running Instagram as well. We do see a way, way higher LTV from these fans off of Reddit, off of the regular Reddit strategy, than we see from Instagram fans, as well as we have ran dating app traffic in the past, also really black hat. And people are always very, very loving about the traffic from dating apps, the high LTV from these fans. And I think it's safe to say that, the regular way of posting on Reddit, where you would promote the creator by posting sexy content with the link in bio, I would say that that's the best way to get the highest quality of subscriber to the account. Definitely. Why? Because they found you, because they wanted to find you.
Yes.
So they don't stumble upon you because they just came across you while scrolling.
They were looking for that specific,
They were part of that subreddit. That subreddit said big boobs. And then if it's niched down super deep, e-girls with big boobs, and your creator is an e-girl with big boobs, this guy, he was there for you. You were exactly what he wanted you to be. And you were there at the right time. What makes it even better is, let's say you post a reel, I would be on my phone scrolling and I would come across that reel. Oh, that's a good reel, but I'm at work right now, so I can't, subscribe to your OnlyFans. So maybe I would drop a follow and then forget about it. The good thing about Reddit is that by default, if you would toggle the non-safe for work settings so that you're able to view the non-safe for work subreddits and the non-safe for work pictures, by default, they blur the non-safe for work pictures that are posted in the non-safe for work subreddits. And what that creates is that, let's say I'm at work or I'm in the bus and I'm just scrolling Reddit, I would have to click that picture to open that picture to see it. And what that creates is that if I'm in the bus and there's someone sitting next to me, I wouldn't click that picture, I wouldn't take that risk, which means that if a fan comes in, like let's say, the fan, he wasn't in the bus and he probably wasn't at work either, right? He was he was at home, sitting on the couch in his bed, scrolling Reddit. Maybe he was watching memes. Maybe he was there for naked girls. Maybe he was there for porn. But either way, the chances of this guy being alone are very likely.
Yes.
As well as, they're there for you because they like you already. Whereas on Instagram, it could be curiosity. Like, oh, this girl, she's posting very funny comedian videos. Oh, but she has an OnlyFans. Wait, maybe I get to see boobs for $3.
Yeah.
And then that's where a lot of people get stuck. Whereas on Instagram, on Reddit, they might have already seen the boobs. Yes.
Yeah.
On the other hand, that's what they came for, and they want more than just the boobs right now.
Right. So, okay, that actually brings me to, I've got a couple more questions before we close things off. Really briefly, if you could just give me like a quick overview of, like, you were talking about automation. Obviously, you're posting at a phenomenal scale. You've got 10 different creators, some of whom are going to have, let's say that they each have between like 25 and 100 accounts each. You're posting hundreds of pieces of content a day across multiple different accounts. What does the automation process look like for that? I would imagine a lot of it is homebrewed because there's not like a built-in, you're not allowed to automate posting on Reddit.
No,
so
you're not allowed.
What does that look like for you? How did you build those processes?
So self-promotion is not allowed. Back in the days, the 3-4 years ago, they didn't mind as much. You could just use simple schedulers that even Reddit itself promoted. They didn't care. It was a pretty normal thing for everyone. Now, as we speak, we're still building systems, right? The systems are being built every single day. But to run Reddit on a scale, like, you are basically forced to either hire a developer or become one yourself, learn how to code to see the systems. So let's say you have 1 or 2 accounts and you want to post them every single day. That's something a VA can do. Posting 20 posts from 100 accounts every day, that's 2,000 posts a day. That's not something a VA can do. 1,440 minutes in a day. It's just not possible. So you need to automate things like that. So if you want to scale up on Reddit and work with more than just 1, 2, 3 creators, right? You actually want more creators. You are basically forced to hire a developer. And I would even say full-time hire a developer if you actually want to scale. So it's not just someone you hire, oh, can you create this automation for me? No, you need that guy on your side. Right? He needs to be part of the team, and he can
Right.
create that posting automation for you for sure. Something would change, Reddit would change some things, and everything would be, you'd have to start building again or
Yep.
fixing it and fixing it and fixing it. So you need someone that's interested in the platform, and therefore would say that everyone that would actually get deep into Reddit. So besides from the fact doing like a 500 posts a day, let's say you want to do 30 posts a day, do it all manually, 60 posts, do it all manually. If you want to scale it up, automations are really going to help you out. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And then the last question that I have before we get into the final stretch here, what is the funniest or like most specific subreddit that you actually post in?
So nowadays, there's nothing I would know from the top of my head because I'm not in control of the posting anymore.
Got it.
Like I got out of the posting myself. We have a full-time web developer or a full-time developer, sorry, and I like the tech side of things. So I tend to look into those things more as well as just leading the team, trying to find the right creators, onboarding more creators with a higher ROI, et cetera, et cetera.
How many employees do you have right now?
So we
Including
actually,
contractors.
so including contractors, we actually just got rid, like this year, we got rid of like, I would say 20 of them. But that's also because, we were starting to build the Reddit systems better and better and better and better, where we could automate more and more and more and more. So I would say that if we go for fixed contractors, if we don't talk about chatters, I would say there's maybe 6 of them.
Okay. Wow. So that's a relatively lean team for the scale of the operation that you're running. That's
for
awesome.
Reddit, yeah. For Instagram, that's a different story, right? For the
Sure.
other operation, but for the Reddit operation, 6 of them, and they're contractors. For the Reddit farming, there's 2 guys that are actually on like on the actual posting itself, but the posting itself is automated. So they're just monitoring, right? Like figuring things out, finding
Making
the right
sure nothing
captions.
breaks.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically it. Yeah. But the funniest subreddit, because that was your actual question. There's not really any funny subreddit that I would say we post to anymore, but what we used to do is we would kamikaze in these safe for work subreddits because they would be pushed to the home feed on Reddit. And this was a really, really crazy thing. So there were subreddits that were safe for work, like I said, and Reddit would once a day, once every 2, I don't even know, send emails to the people that turn on newsletters, right? So the users that would turn on newsletters would get emails with the best performing posts of that week, of that day, of that month in that email, even if they weren't using Reddit anymore. So let's say you signed up to Reddit 5 years ago and you still have your newsletters turned on, you would still get that newsletter every single time. And if you would perform really, really, really well in this safe for work subreddit, like actually really well, the user, so you wouldn't even have to be part of the subreddit to get that promotional email where they would mention the post. So we could post to these subreddits and like basically force them to go viral, so viral that they would send in this newsletter to so many guys that would bring in, it was crazy. It would do 3, 4, 5,000 subs in a day. It was crazy. So that's not the case anymore. Unfortunately, the good old golden Reddit days like that, they're over. But still with the highest LTV, I think, in my opinion, at least the highest LTV, we'd be able to get a LTV on free fans anywhere between, let's say, realistically, anywhere between $8 and $35.
Jeez. And if you're scoring that many subs a day, that's...
Yeah, and this is on free fans, right? So it's relatively easy to get free fans, and you were able to get mass subs. Like now, still you're able to get 1,000 a day for sure, but not with that single post. And back in the day, we were able to just do one post, and it would go so viral that it would just get subs for the rest of the week.
Incredible.
It would be in a subreddit that wasn't even related to OnlyFans. So if you'd post a girl on a motorcycle, like the model sitting on a motorcycle, you'd post it in the motorcycle subreddit, and you would assist it with this upvote manipulation to go so super viral, there would be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to actually see that.
Jesus.
Right? There's that what is my location? There's these guys on YouTube that are posting these videos where you just see a quick split second of a picture, and then they would guess where it is. I don't remember the name of the game. It's GeoGuessr, right?
Yeah.
So there's subreddits, for example, of people geoguessing, and people would just post pictures like, oh, where am I? And then everyone would comment, right? And then, the new thing, it worked only a few days/weeks before the moderators, took action again. But we just, for example, we'd have a creator and she'd go on hikes. That was one of her hobbies. And she would just go on crazy hikes to take these crazy selfies, not even non-safe for work, right? Just a crazy selfie somewhere on top of a mountain. And she'd say, oh, where am I? And because this is one of these safe for work subreddits, and, you know, the GeoGuessr, there's so many guys, probably more than
Sure.
there's girls, right, that are doing this geoguessing thing, we would get 10, 15, 20 million views on a post like this because it got
Jesus.
so viral.
Yeah.
So things like that was crazy, and we could just continue to do that over and over. So we would find something like the GeoGuessr subreddit, and next day we would find a subreddit with millions of members about cats or dogs, and we'd have a selfie of the girl with the dog or with the cat and promote like that. So I
And
wouldn't
those
say
posts are obviously going to get substantially more exposure. You probably get a fewer percentage of people actually going and clicking the link in bio as a result of that exposure. But it's still, if you've got 1 million people, 10 million people looking at a post and they're curious about the creator who's obviously female, that's brilliant.
That's it. Yeah. So like you would narrow your competition because every picture in this GeoGuessr subreddit would be a picture of a view someone would have.
Right.
Whereas we would be the only one taking a selfie, just
Yes.
that little bit of extra cleavage.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That would trigger them. That would make the post go so viral. And then what would happen on Reddit is Reddit would push this post towards people on their home feed without even being part of this subreddit as well. And yes, you're right. The conversion rate would be lower because you'd get less clicks on the link per view. On the other hand, it would be so many views you would get on that post that it would just be insane subscribers every day.
Sure.
Either way.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, last question. This is the question that I ask everybody. If you could give any piece of advice to anybody that's at some point in their entrepreneurial journey, maybe is this advice that you would have gone back and told yourself 10 years ago, what would it be?
Don't start Reddit.
After all that, just don't start it.
No, that's a great question. Well, what I would say to anyone is just do it. Like I've really noticed, you and me, we discussed it shortly as well on Instagram. I was running Instagram on a relatively low scale, not on a super big scale. And I was watching one of your videos and I was, seeing you talk about it, just post quality content, 7 out of 10. It doesn't have to be 10 out of 10. Just post 1 or 2 reels every day. And I was thinking, I should just do it. And it was the same for Reddit. It's just doing it, get these posts up. Yes, you're maybe only getting 10 fans every day, but if you do more posts, that could accumulate 15, 20, 25. And that's really specific on just the marketing end of things, not even on an entrepreneurial side of things, because we're talking about the entrepreneurial side of things. It's the same thing. Like, just do it. Like I said, I had the call center, I had the security company, just, say, screw it, fuck it, and go for it. You got to have a little bit of that Machiavelli mindset, I think, where you would have to be kind of aggressive towards everything you're doing, go in with full force. So don't be scared. Don't be hesitant, because if you're going to be scared and hesitant and you're not, going in with full force, you're not going to make it. 100%. There's always guys that are more aggressive and more hungry and more mentally strong that will just continue to go and grow every single time in whatever business. Yeah, for sure.
Agree 100%. Yeah. And I think, like, adding on to that, I have so many friends that are brilliant, smarter than I am by a pretty substantial margin. And they're working for other companies and they're making, a tenth or a hundredth of what they could be making if they struck out on their own and did something. But they want to spend, years in this, like, strategic development phase of, like, I have to have the perfect plan.
Yeah.
And if you plan for a year, the condition, if you start planning a business now and you say, I'm going to spend the next year planning exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to launch my business, getting all these little puzzle pieces in place, a year from today, the world is going to look totally different and your plan 100%. Is not going to be worth anything. But if you just start, like the guy who starts today, who just says, fuck it, I'm doing it today. I don't need a fucking plan. I'm just doing whatever it is that I want to do. He's going to have a year more time to actually learn what it is that he needs to do, what he needs to fix, the mistakes that he's going to make. He's going to learn so much more in that year than you would in a year planning and just assuming that what the conditions 100%. On the ground are going to look like. So I love that. That's a great.
Yeah, I agree. And then also always, of course, calculate a margin of error.
Yes.
It's not like you shouldn't be calculating a margin of error, but so what we do in all of our operations and what we used to do as well is basically calculate a margin of error of 99% and then still do it.
Yes.
whatever the situation is, like you'd have to do it. Getting back on the OnlyFans side of things, like I assume you're onboarding creators left and right because of your social media presence, or able to onboard creators left or right. Right. I remember when I started off, like I said, I had to message these girls on this escort website. Hey, would you be open for a call for me?
Yeah.
With me to look into OnlyFans and things like this. So I had sent hundreds of messages, and after that, even Instagram outreach, thousands of messages being sent out before we were even able to actually onboard multiple creators. And now there's so many guys that would give up after the first 10 or 20 messages.
Yes. Just like, oh, it's not going to work. It wasn't meant to be. Yeah.
So that margin of error, if you're calculating like it is going to fail, but I'm still going to do it, it will succeed at some point. And no matter, like, the chances of it succeeding are very small, right? Don't get me wrong.
But if you do it enough times.
Yeah. Like you're very, very of the organic social part on YouTube everywhere. You're really promoting it. And in some video, as well as in the verified earners group, you mentioned it. Whereas keep on doing the same trends everyone's doing, it won't work on the long run. Yeah, I agree. It won't work on the long run, but we're still doing it on Instagram as well.
For sure. Yeah.
And it still works.
Yes.
So
it's not.
I think is it? Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Is it the best thing to promote yourself? I don't know, but is it giving? Like, is there a high ROI? Yes, there is.
Yeah. So, and I think to clarify on that, like that is advice that I give as like, the TikTok dances are not going to give you a fully branded creator. You're not going to be able to ride that to 1 million followers anymore. It's not 2019, 2020 where it's COVID and you can just shake ass and expect to become like an internet phenomenon, where that was really, there was a period of time where that absolutely was happening. So my thing obviously is just fully branded creators, people that you're actually fleshing out to be legitimate influencers who have influence on consumer behavior even outside of OnlyFans. But for a majority of creators, if you're onboarding them and like you don't have a social media strategy, you can still do that. It's going to work fine.
For sure. And we have creators that are still as well, we're not branding them.
Yeah.
And then on Reddit, they're doing an amazing job without the brand, but even doing the good old TikTok dances, it's still bringing in, let's say 200-300 subs every single day of the week.
Yep.
So like, yes, is it the best way? Maybe not. Should you do it? Yes, you should do it. And that's, talking about resources again.
Something is better than nothing, always.
Exactly. Make sure you just do it and build it out. Go for it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
All right, man. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. I'm very glad we got the chance to talk. I'm sure we'll talk again at some point. I'm going to watch this and have 1 million more questions that I wish that I had asked. But thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
No worries, man. Thank you so much, Francis. Have an amazing day.